Hello, friends. Beginning a new poem today, and that is Paradise Lost, Book 1 by John Milton. And Milton follows the tradition set up by the classical poets, beginning with Homer, who began his both of his epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, with invocation. Invocation to a higher authority. Virgil also followed the same tradition. In his Aeneid also there was began with invocation. Spenser's Fairy Queen, which was the first English epic, it also began with an invocation, and so does this work of John Milton, that is Paradise Lost. It also begins with invocation. Invocations will be there in other few books as well of Paradise Lost, but book one we have got the most important invocation. Now, invocation in general, uh, the epic, the epic is a style in which the poetry is of very grand style. Okay, it is a very grand poem, very long poem of almost mammoth proportions. The subject, the topic is of much more serious nature than any other ordinary poetry. The style too is of much more exalted style. So it is a serious poem, and poet acknowledges by invocating to an external power. Poet acknowledges the fact that he is unfit or he is not complete in undertaking such a serious task. Therefore, he humbly begs to the muses of the poetry or to the heavenly muse, as in this case, that he requires assistance. Okay, so John Milton is following this epic tradition. However, there will be a slight difference as well, which we are going to see when we reach that part. So now let us do the poem line to line. And in the very beginning of the poem, he makes the topic of the task very clear. Of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree, whose mortal taste brought death into the world and all our woe. So he's talking about the first disobedience. He's talking about Adam and Eve, who were created by God and who were placed in the Garden of Eden, which at present the scholars identify with Mesopotamia, somewhere in Mesopotamia or in Iraq. There they were placed in Garden of Eden. They were completely free. Whatever they wanted to do in garden, they were completely free, except the fact that they should not eat the fruit of tree of knowledge, the knowledge of evil, of good and bad, because this knowledge of good and bad was the prerogative of God. God being all powerful, God being all knowledgeable, so it is His prerogative to have the knowledge. Okay, and therefore this restrictions were put for them. We can look at in two ways. The first thing is that God has created a state. Okay, the state is run by certain laws. There will be a constitution and there will be a law, and if those laws are violated, then there will be punishment. So disobedience and the punishment that they were expelled from Garden of Eden, we can look at from that point of view. The other point of view, the related one, is that obedience or disobedience is all about authority, power and authority and hierarchy. So we have God at the top level, then we have got angels, and angels also have categories, and then at the bottom level is man. So hierarchy and then authority. This term authority and hierarchy will come regularly. Therefore, we can see that there's a rebellion in a sense. So angels are some of the angels, the fallen angels, that means those leaders is Satan, are challenging the authority of God and paying the price for that. Man challenging the authority of God and pays the price for that. Okay. So of that forbidden tree, whose mortal taste brought death into the world and all our woes. So death was introduced by this transgression, and all our woes that followed also was by this very act. With loss of Eden, and obviously Eden was lost too for us. The paradise was lost not only to Adam and Eve, but to all mankind forever. However, not forever, till one great man restored us and regained the blissful seed. Now he's talking about Christ. Christ who suffered for the transgression of Adam and Eve, the disobedience of Adam and Eve, but not only that, other violations or commitment of sins that was done by other people. So he suffered for them and regained for us. And we'll get paradise in some near future because of that suffering of Christ. We'll get that paradise again. Sing, heavenly muse, that on the secret top of Oreb or of Sinai didst inspire that shepherd. So he's asking, he's requesting, he's invoking heavenly muse. Okay, that on the secret top. Secret means holy top of Oreb or Sinai. And the mountain is Sinai or Oreb. This is the same mountain which is situated between Israel and Egypt. There inspired, the heavenly muse inspired Moses. That shepherd here is Moses, who was one of the prophets of Jewish religion and the most important prophet of Jewish religion, and he was very important. He is very important prophet of Islam and Christianity as well. So that shepherd inspired, and there on the mountain, it is said that Moses was given 10 commandments by God, or the 10 laws by God. Who first taught the chosen seed in the beginning, how the heavens and the earth rose out of chaos. So, chosen seed here are the Jewish people. Now, these people used to live in this Mesopotamia area, and there were many more communities there worshipping polytheism and practicing polytheism and idolatry. God appeared to one of the important prophets, Abraham, and he said, from now on, you are going to worship one God, that is God, and you are going to discard idolatry as well. And because God came and talked and had a covenant directly with Abraham, therefore, these people are known as the chosen seeds. God could have chosen anyone, but He chose the Jewish people. Okay, there's just one more information I want to give, and that is Abraham. From Abraham started the Jewish religion, and from Jewish religion came Christianity and Muslims as well, Islam religion as well. Therefore, these three religions, Jewish and Christianity and Muslim together, are known as Abrahamic religion. So Abraham came first, and then came Moses later on. So here, chosen seeds means God's special favor. Who were the God's special favor? The Jewish people. And God asked them to move towards Jerusalem now from Mesopotamia. So that shepherd who first taught the chosen seed in the beginning how the heavens and the earth rose out of chaos. So God on that hill of Oreb or Sinai told, not only gave 10 commandments to Moses, but he also told Moses about how in the original place, original there was no universe, there was complete darkness and chaos. From that rose the heaven and the earth. This was told to Moses by God. Or if Zion hill delights thee more, and Silo's brook that followed fast by, the oracle of God. Or if you, the heavenly muse, to you not the place in Egypt, that is Sinai mountain, where Moses got his 10 commandments, but the Zion hill, not that hill, but this hill, Zion hill. Zion hill is in Jerusalem, where the city of Jerusalem is made. There, the Zion hill is there, and in this hill was constructed. This hill or Zion hill or Jerusalem is important because the third king of Israel, that is David, he ruled from here, from Jerusalem, and here in on this hilltop and in Jerusalem was made the temple of God by uh, David's successor, King Solomon. Okay, so therefore, this temple and this Jerusalem is very important for the Jews. Therefore, Milton here is saying to the heavenly muse, that if the Zion hill delights thee more, simply because there is a temple of God there, and Siloah's brook that followed fast by the oracle of God. The oracle of God means the temple of God that is situated in Jerusalem, and Siloah's brook means a small brook or a small river flows close by. From there I thence invoke thy aid. From there I'll appeal to you, and I hence invoke thy aid to my adventurous song. He's telling his song to be an adventurous song. Why? Because that with no middle flight intends to soar above the Ionian Mount. Now, one point I want to add here is that if Zion Hill delights thee more. Now, why should Zion Hill delight the heavenly muse more? It is because on the Zion Hill was founded the city of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the city where King David ruled from. Now, King David used to play harp, that is a musical instrument. Now, it is very likely or it is very understandable that heavenly muse of music and poetry should be attracted towards David. And therefore, the poet John Milton is requesting to the heavenly muse from the Zion hill. I thence invoke thy aid to my adventurous song, that with no middle flight intends to soar above Mount Ionian Mount. And he is clear, Milton is clear that the task he has undertaken is an adventurous task. It's an adventurous song. And with no middle flight. That means it's not an ordinary flight that he's going to take. He's going to soar above Mount Ionian Mount. That is Mount Helicon of the classical poetry, where the nine muses of poetry they live. And Homer invokes this muses of poetry, and Virgil also invoked this uh, muses who live in Mount Helicon. So Milton is making it clear in his invocation that his adventure is going to be a grand adventure, and even grander than that undertaken by Homer and Virgil. And therefore, since the task is of very high level, the nine muses of Greek poetry won't do. The classical poetry won't do. And therefore, he is directly invoking to the heavenly muse. Whereas Milton is dealing with the whole mankind, the relationship of man with God is dealing with God, with angels, fight of angels, okay, and ultimately the justification of God to men. This he says in the last line of the invocation, the 26th line. So the task that he has taken is of much more higher level in the higher plane, and therefore the spiritual source of the poem should also be, the inspiration of the poem should also be heavenly muse and not the nine muses of classical poetry. And chiefly thou, O spirit, that dost prefer before our temples the upright heart and pure. So he has appealed before to heavenly muse, and now he is appealing to the Holy Spirit. And chiefly thou, and mainly to you, O Holy Spirit, in the Christian religion, there is the concept of Trinity: God the Father, Son, the Christ, and the Holy Spirit. So this Holy Spirit is he's appealing to, and you, the Holy Spirit, who prefer before all temples. So you are not that much interested in the temples, but more than that, you are interested in the man whose heart is pure and upright and who believes in God. Okay, so instruct me, teach me, for thou knowest, you know everything. Thou from the first was present, and mighty wings outspread, dove like sat brooding on the vast abyss. So just like a bird sits on its eggs and hatches its, makes it pregnant, the same way uh, the Holy Spirit also dove like sat, brooding on the vast abyss. Over the vast abyss it sat, and madest it pregnant. And from there emerged the heaven and the earth. Okay, so you know everything. You were present from the very beginning. What in me is dark, illumine. So here he is acknowledging his limitations, his physical uh, drawback of he being a blind, but also his spiritual darkness he is talking about. So he's asking is he wants the aid of the Holy Spirit. Okay, what is low, raise and support. Now this task that he has undertaken is a grand task. Nothing should be low or ordinary in it. Therefore, if anything is there, you please raise it up, that to the heights of this great argument I may assert eternal providence and justify the ways of God to men. So at the end of this argument, at the end of this poetry, I may assert eternal providence justify eternal providence, and justify the ways of God to men. I may assert God's wisdom. I may prove that God is the sovereign and He is the sovereign authority over men. So our invocation ends here, and we'll begin the poetry from the next video. Thank you.